Hey guys, it's Ari. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, so I just kind of wanted to follow up with you guys and give an update. I'm still trucking with Swift. I'm actually planning on getting my way out. I'm thinking about I got a couple of offers from some schools to go back. They're offering me some scholarships and stuff, and the main reason I got into trucking was I had some kids, so they have medical bills and they need toys and clothes and food and all that good stuff. So where I was at in the time, there was no better option for making that money up quickly other than trucking. It was real easy to get into. All you have to do is just basically practice safe driving. You have to deal with being away from home, but you know, the kids have food, the bills are paid, and nobody's stressing out about anything. So with me getting offered scholarships at universities and stuff, I'm kind of like, okay, well, there's a way out for me to do it right now because one thing I've noticed is for the people who get into trucking short term, everybody always wants to get into it short term and see what it's like and have other options and stuff. But one thing that can happen is you can end up actually, getting stuck here. And it's not a bad career. It's not like it's a dirty job or anything that somebody wouldn't want. But I don't know. It's just not my fit. I like it. It's a good hobby. Maybe I'll do it on the summers just to get some summer money, and it's good driving, and it's a nice, stress-free atmosphere most of the time. You don't have anybody breathing down your neck telling you what to do. They just give you a time and a place, and you got to be there on time. So, I've got a way out now. I've got university coming up, so I'm kind of just wrapping up my time here at Swift, and I'll probably just make tutorials or every once in a while, or upload regularly during the summer when I come back to Swift, or some other trucking job just to make some money for the summer. But the big thing right now is it's basically winter. I was driving like a week ago, it was like in the 40s and 50s, and it wasn't too bad. Everything was nice. You could leave your windows open at night and sleep comfortably. And then last week, all of a sudden 3 or 4 days ago, it hit overnight. It started slushing over in Iowa. And so I pulled in. I thought, all right, well, this is the first time it's been snowing this year, so I'll pull in just to be safe, because everybody gets kind of crazy when the weather gets involved. So yeah, it's just been snowing for the past 2 or 3 days. I've been going from Iowa all the way over here to Denver, Colorado. I'm at the Denver terminal right now, and there's actually good news if you're looking into Swift. A lot of the terminals are actually getting renovated. Denver has been under construction for like 4 to 6 months, but it finally just got done, and it's actually looking a lot better inside. If I can, I'll show you the facilities. Basically, before, you'd have your men's and women's bathroom, and then a separate area of the building, in the main hallway or whatever, where there would be like 7 or 8 showers depending on the terminal. Some have more, but you'd have your showers at the terminal, and you could go and either use the restrooms, or you could go to the showers, and you could do everything in house. Wash your clothes and whatnot. With these renovations, it's all kind of in one room. So you go into a restroom, and they're both unisex or whatever, so you can be a woman or a man, and walk into the room, lock the door, and you have a toilet, shower, sink, and lots of space. Much more space than a truck stop bathroom. So you've got space to do whatever you need to do. If you want to use the restroom, you just go in there, use the restroom real quick, leave. If you want to take a shower, you go inside, you space out your stuff, you do your shower. You have plenty of space to dry yourself off, and if you have a routine, you do your routine. So these renovations are looking real good. But the weather right now is probably the biggest thing. Because I'm not really a seasoned driver yet. I've just been doing this for a year and 3 months, so I don't really consider myself like an expert or anything. But this is basically what the Swift terminal looks like right now. It's like snow everywhere. So the roads were kind of icy this morning, but by midday it was looking pretty good. It was just like wet instead of frozen. So with the cold weather, for new drivers, I just kind of want to remind you, if you're starting this time of year, Just be extra careful, because I don't mind, rain. Rain is one thing, wind is another thing, but when you have, cold weather, snow and ice, that's something that a lot of people underestimate their first year, or even, when you're an expert trucker, when you're an expert trucker, you get used to it, so you kind of underestimate it. You think, I've done this 1,000 times, it's not going to be anything. And that first night it was slushing, I saw a couple trucks pass me doing 65, 70 in the middle of slush that was coming down. You couldn't see past a couple 100 feet, so it was like, all right, these guys are just gonna speed on by me here in the middle of this storm or whatever. And the next morning, I actually saw, after that first night of slush or whatever, I actually saw two semis flipped over next to each other, like right next to each other on the highway. So, just be careful. Ice, snow, when you're dealing with things that make it harder for you to get friction on the road, especially snow and ice, you want to be real careful. First things first, just slow down. It's not so bad as long as you slow down and reduce the amount of weight that you're throwing around. You'd rather take a curve at 55 or 50 than 60 to 65 if you're lightly loaded. The second thing you want to do is take account of your weight. If you're running a heavy load, 35,000 pounds and up, you're going to have you're going to have better traction than someone who is running an empty or anything under 20,000 pounds. So if you're traveling light, the best thing to do is get off the road, before everybody else, because you're more of a liability. You're more at risk to lose traction and have a jackknife, or if somebody stops in front of you in an emergency situation, you're going to rear end them, then you're probably going to get rear ended. So, if you're traveling light, be especially cautious. Be the first one to get off the road. If you're traveling kind of heavy, you just have to slow down. Ask yourself, is this ice, or is this snow really hitting the ground and melting? Most of the time, with all the highway traffic, it heats up that highway pretty well. So for the first couple hours, as long as it's daylight, it's just going to be a wet road. So if you're traveling heavy, just take account. Slow down like you would if it was raining. Watch for slick spots, especially on bridges. Because the bridge is always ice before the ground. Take a look at what everybody else is doing around you too. Even if you're being safe, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's being safe. So what you want to do is you want to just kind of take account of what everybody else is doing as well, not just yourself. So if you see people speeding by you, getting in front of you, especially with cars, they don't really understand what it's like, especially when you're dealing with people who live in that area. They'll just cut on right in front of you like it's normal. They won't really know anything's wrong until they're the ones spinning out on the road, and you have to deal with that. So just basically assume that everyone around you might not be as aware of the situation as you are, especially as a trucker. So take into account that everybody else is a potential threat, basically. And at that point, what I always like to do, no matter how empty, how light my load is, how heavy my load is, what the weather conditions are like, as soon as I see that first bit of snow, take that opportunity to pull over at the first truck stop you can get to. Check the weather, check the forecast, get an app, or, just go and Google the forecast for your local area. See what it's going to be like, because you never know when you're going to be driving down the road and it looks like it's just a little storm, and 30 miles down the road you can't even see in front of you, so you have to pull over to the side of the road, and nobody wants to be stuck on the side of the highway like that. So just be aware of the forecast, get information regularly, go slow, think about your weight, think about the people around you. Don't hesitate to pull over if you need to, if you're not feeling safe about the situation. Just because, the number one thing is that you make it there. it doesn't matter that much if you're late or if you take a pay cut or if somebody's mad at you on the other end, because they don't know what you're going through. They don't know what it's like. Most of your management has never driven a truck before, so just take stock of those situations and try to be as safe as possible on the road. It's nice to get paid, but if you're not going to be there to spend the money, it's not really worth that much at all. Another thing is learn to anticipate the weather. Again, with your forecasts, plan your trips around the weather. So if you know that it's snowing and it's probably going to snow tomorrow, and you have only so many miles that you can drive in the day, because at this point you're going to want to only drive basically during daylight hours unless you absolutely have to. The truck stops are going to fill up fast. Right now they're filling up around 5 p.m. already. Full, like everybody's pulling in for the night at 5 p.m. before the sun goes down. So take account of that. If you want to get to a nice spot, you need to be there early, like 3 or 4 p.m. So you need to start early. You need to start at 6 or 7 a.m. when all the maintenance crews are out, getting the snow or ice off the roads, clearing the roads. You're going to have to deal with some heavy morning traffic, which again, you just watch your following distance. Anticipate that people are going to be stopping, speeding in front of you, trying to cut in front of you. That's all normal things if you're in an urban area. Plan to start early, plan to end early, stay safe, travel during the daylight hours. And if you need to know when to say, I'm not going to make it today, I'm just going to pull over and stop at this Denny's, have a good night, be safe. Even if, your managers or whatever, your trucking company is on your back about it, telling you that you need to get there tonight or whatever, just say, hey, I'm not going to move the truck unless you're going to have somebody else come over here and move the truck. It's not going to move for the next 10 hours. So those are the things that you want to take into account if you're starting right now. I'd say this is probably the worst time of year to start, just because I don't like it personally. I know that there are people who aren't bothered by winter driving, but with all the things I've seen with people driving the way they drive on the highway and in urban areas, I'd say the threats are probably more real in this time, because those little mistakes that people often make, brake checking, swerving into your lane, getting real close to you, taking curves, way faster than they should. Those things are the things that will get you in trouble out here this time of year. Is where in the summer you can take a curve or whatever kind of fast, and it's not a big deal. You have your traction or whatever. But this is kind of the time of year where you have to really be on your A game. So take those things into account if you're starting right now. Just be safe. Let me know if you have any other questions about winter driving. What specific gear you need. If there are any areas that you kind of want to be worried about. That's all I can think about right now. But if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I'll answer them as best as I can. And that's pretty much it. Peace.